Valentine's Day is upon us, and we're thinking about love. To be specific, we're thinking about finding love in a place that is near and dear to our hearts.
That day on Muni, I think we were just supposed to meet.
Welcome to Taken with Transportation, the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency's official podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Call-Ross. There is a lot of love to be found in San Francisco as we hear from people enjoying a warm February afternoon in Dolores Park.
This is absolutely a magical place. I moved here 4 months ago, and I convinced my fiance to come here with me. We moved thousands of miles from here, not knowing what the future would hold, but it's here, it's beautiful, it's shining, and it's romantic.
People can still meet here organically. You just have to not be scared of rejection. There's big glimmers here of magic, I think.
San Francisco is a very romantic city because of the community. Everyone is always they're always in a good mood.
In the spirit of magic and romance, we're joined in this episode by two couples who met, at least in part, thanks to our beloved public transit system, Muni. We've caught up with the first couple in the outer Sunset near Ocean Beach.
Hello, my name is Mary Rickles Conley.
Jared Conley? You want us to get closer?
Mary and Jared met on Halloween 2012, the day of the Giants World Series victory parade. Their love story began on the N Judah as the city celebrated.
N Judah to Ocean Beach.
I was standing next to this guy who I remember was very high on Giants energy. He is a huge Giants fan, and so he was just very energetic and excited, but he was wearing a really nice suit because he had been at work earlier, and I thought to myself, what a strange person. I just couldn't figure him out, that he was dressed impeccably, but had clearly been at the parade, and his sleeves were rolled up so I could see, he had tattoos all over his arm, and I was just trying to figure him out a little bit. Then at the next stop, a couple hundred people got on the train, and we went from standing near each other to practically hugging. We were so close. My back was against the wall of the train, and there was someone standing directly behind him, and so neither one of us could back up at all. So we were literally inches apart, and kind of joke now to our friends that even on our first meeting, we were already hugging. So when you're that close to someone on a train that is that hot and that crowded, you have to talk to one another because it's just so awkward. And so we started chatting.
Now that train turned around at 19th Avenue, so Mary decided to walk the rest of the way home. She noticed that Jared was walking behind her, so they kept talking as they strolled.
He ended up asking if I'd like to go out for a drink later. And so I said yes. And that was the beginning of our relationship.
As their relationship progressed, October 31st continued to be a pretty significant day for the couple.
That was 2012 when we met. Jared proposed to me on Halloween of 2013 when we were in Brooklyn visiting his sister. And then when we got back to San Francisco and started planning our wedding, we really wanted to get married at Stern Grove. We both were West Side residents and loved that place and wanted to get married there. And so we called the Parks Department, and the only date they had available for about the next year and a half was Halloween of 2014. So we actually got married on Halloween of 2014. And ironically, the Giants won the World Series that year, and the parade was on our wedding day.
And honestly, Mary is not that surprised that they met on the N.
We both were regular Muni riders. He took Muni every day to go to his job. I worked from home at the time, but preferred to use it anytime I was going downtown. And so, I think it was part luck or fate. Sometimes we say that our ancestors kind of threw us together on that train.
Jared, meanwhile, is a little bit more philosophical as he thinks about the day they met.
My team just won the World Series, and I remember being at work, and I was going to leave, and a friend of mine, Corey, said, hey, why don't you come over to the bar and we'll have a drink? And little things like this kind of set the motion. If I don't go over there and have that drink, I wouldn't have been able to meet her. So little things like the movie Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow, where you see two different alternative lives. It's like, there's a life that's with her and a life I can't imagine without her. And it wouldn't have happened had we not met on Muni. It's just fantastic. to think about the little things that all led up to that moment, including the Giants winning the World Series and all the little things that kind of fell together into place like little tumblers of time that connected me to this beautiful, lovely soul.
Of course, Mary and Jared will always remember where their relationship began, but it also lives on with their son.
Jackson, Judah, we named him after the Judah train we met on. It just had a ring to it. And then that will forever be with him, that we met on the train, that he's here because we met on that train. And if we didn't, he wouldn't be here.
They are more than a decade into a successful marriage, so we ask the Conleys if they have any words of wisdom for single people.
To anyone who's looking to meet someone, whether it's a friend or someone to potentially date, I would just encourage them to keep their mind open. Places like the Muni are actually really fun ways to meet someone because often or likely those people live in your neighborhood. They might be your neighbors. I think it's funny that Jared and I lived in the same neighborhood for a decade before we actually ever met each other. Maybe we were too busy at the time, or we were distracted, or we were with other people. But, you know, that day on Muni, like, I think we were just supposed to meet. And I think we were next to each other for a reason.
Yeah.
And, you know, you should always keep your eyes out and your heart open to like making a new friend or meeting a new person wherever you are.
Get out of your comfort zone. I remember going to places like bars and clubs, and those are like the worst places to meet people because you can't hear anything. There's too much alcohol involved. I would say go to places like museums, bookstores, and maybe strike up a conversation with somebody on a public transportation place like a Muni bus. And you never know. You never know.
Finally, we ask them what Muni means to them beyond their relationship and what they think it means to San Francisco overall.
It's extremely important for young folks to get to school, for people to get to work. It was a lifeline for me for transit for years just to get to work. And I don't think I could have functioned without it.
I definitely think Muni is a very critical piece of infrastructure for the city. It helps people get where they need to go, you know, in a cost-effective way. You know, I used to love to ride it because it gave me a chance to read or just relax and not worry about being stuck in traffic. I just didn't know back then that it would also be the reason or the way that I met my future partner for the rest of my life.
The second couple in this episode includes a member of our agency family.
Hello, I'm Oliver Gajda, the Acting Chief Safety Officer for SFMTA.
And I'm Damara Arsanis, his partner.
Muni's role in Oliver and Damara's meet-cute story is a little less direct, but it's still meaningful.
I used to ride the 21 Haze. There's a 3 or 4 month period of time that I rode it often. Sometimes I walk to work, bike to work, take Muni. But during that time, sadly, my mom was terminally ill with cancer. And so I was riding the bus to kind of maximize my time and use the phone. I was on the phone, either calling the doctors or doing work stuff. And so I'd be riding the bus. And so there was a window of time that I'd be riding the bus. And at the time I was married. It was 2017. I was, you know, my head was in a very different place. And I'd see this beautiful woman get on the bus with her child. And of course, you know, I'm married. I'm thinking about my mother, thinking about my job. I'm on the phone and the bus would be crowded at 21 and I would just get up and give up my seat and then just continue on my day. And I didn't think much of it, you know, at that point, just like, oh, you know, she needs a seat, and thought that was the right thing to do, to give my seat up.
For me, in that moment, as silly as this sounds, it was so crowded. And I remember when I passed him to sit down with my son, I mean, really and truly, I have like an electric current, like just felt like it shot up my spine. And I thought, who is this person?
It was just a simple act, and she seemed so happy about it.
And of course, I was happy for several reasons. I got to see and this man that I've been noticing for months.
And I just thought to myself, like, how come no one else is getting up to give the seat up?
Oliver and Damara also would occasionally see each other on the 22 Fillmore back then, but they never talked.
Fast forward to 2022, you know, COVID's happened. I'm, you know, divorced, and I don't know anything about dating. So like, you know, I'm a Gen Xer. So I was like, how do I do this? So I got on a app, because I guess that's what the thing you do, you get on an app. And within a couple hours, I got my first like back was Damara.
I had been divorced for a very long time, for about 9 years, dated a couple of, those boys, but was single for a very long time. And then my mother in 2021 had cancer. And when she realized it was stage 4, she always wondered why I was single for all of these 9, almost 10 years. And she told me that if it went in a way that none of us wanted to, that she would send me someone amazing. And I didn't want to think about that. It didn't matter at that moment. And then my mom did pass away. And I spent some months gathering myself, and I decided that I was going to get back online in 2022. And I see this gentleman that liked me, and I'm like, this is the guy from 2017 that used to ride the 21 and sometimes the 22. It's got to be him. But all the pictures, he had sunglasses on, except for one. And it was a black and white. And I remember one time on the bus, he had his sunglasses off and he had these beautiful blue eyes. So when I liked him back and we had the opportunity to speak or chat, I should say, I said, this is strange, but about 5 years ago, did you used to ride the 21 and 22? And do you have blue eyes? And he said, yes, I did, but I'm sorry, I don't remember you.
5 years had gone by. So I'm like racking my brain. I was like, I don't remember this person at all.
I said, I don't expect you to remember some woman and her little boy from 5 years ago. And then he texted back and said, wait a minute, did you pick up the bus at Pierce and Hayes? And I said, yes. And he said, I know exactly who you are. So the memory of me on the bus with my small child at that time kind of triggered his memory. And then from there, we just took off chatting. We had both lost our mom. We had both been divorced. We had these months of contact. I mean, I remember looking at this man with sunglasses on, sitting directly across from me on the 21. I know exactly where he sat and where I sat. So from there, we started chatting. And then on his birthday, less than 2 weeks later, we had a coffee date, and it ended up being an 11-hour date. And I mean, I don't know, the rest is kind of history.
Do you think that you would have continued talking on that app if you hadn't remembered each other from Muni?
That's a really good question. I was always very leery of apps. I never really had any luck with those. So there was a familiarity because I had seen him for those months on the 21 and the 22. So I felt like because we rode the bus, which is very strange because I didn't always ride those lines. But for that period of time, those were the lines that I was riding due to my son and job and all of that. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a good question. I'm not sure.
I think there was enough connection with both us experiencing loss and, the isolation from COVID, the loss of our mothers, divorce. But like I said, I didn't remember at the time, but when she said her little son, it's like, oh yeah, there was a cute little boy. Maybe it's because I work for MTA. Maybe it's because, just being in the city for so long. It was like those little moments that you have on Muni.
You may know that we combined the 21 Hayes with the 6 Parnassus last year, and the route now is the 6 Hayes Parnassus. But it always will be special to Oliver and Damara, whatever the number.
The 21's kind of near and dear to our heart. It's kind of bittersweet. It's almost like it's preserved in a way now that it's the 6. I still call the 21.
And we ask them, like we did the Conleys, if they have any advice based on their experience.
I think the way that your partner or the person you're interested in treats not just you, but others around you is a huge sign of what kind of person they are. Because that was one of the things with Oliver that he always, not just with me, but with everyone, he would always try to help them and be kind. I went in with an open heart and an open mind, just to be myself and just to see what happens, just to take a gamble or a risk and to be vulnerable. And, you know, saying like, did you used to ride the bus and do you have blue eyes? I mean, that could be perceived as, you know, a little wacky.
I would say, you know, to be genuine, to be real, to treat others how you would like to be treated. I mean, these are basic things. Asking people how they are and really listening to how they are, and just being civil. As far as if you put yourself out there and you're just genuine and real and civil, like you don't know what's going to happen.
Thank you for joining us on Taken with Transportation. We're a production of the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency, and you can find the latest episodes at sfmta.com/podcast, as well as Apple, Spotify, our YouTube channel, or wherever you listen. I'm Melissa Colross. Be well and travel well.